Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Government House, Yarralumla. Dawa Nuna, Dawa Nunawal. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Nunawal people, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, emerging leaders, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders gathered here with us this afternoon. My name is Paul Singer, and I'm the Governor-General's Official Secretary. And as this badge signifies with its cross quills, I'm also the Secretary for the Order of Australia, whose council makes recommendations to the Governor-General, who is both the Chancellor of the Order and the Principal Companion of the Order. I'm also the Secretary of the Australia Bravery Decorations Council, the body which makes recommendations to the Governor-General for Bravery Awards. Before we start the ceremony this afternoon, I'd like to acknowledge among our distinguished guests, Commodore Fiona Sneath, representing the Chief of Navy, Major General Douglas Laidlaw, representing the Chief of Army, Air Marshal Robert Chipman, Chief of Air Force, Assistant Commissioner Jason Jones, representing the Commissioner of the ACT Emergency Services, Deputy Commissioner Lisa Gale, representing the Commissioner of Australian Federal Police, and Dr. Joe Johnson, representing the National President of the Order of Australia Association. Welcome all. The Australian Honour System provides a wonderful mechanism through which we as a nation can recognise and celebrate ordinary people who do extraordinary things. And since its inception in 1975, almost 400,000 people have been recognised for their meritorious, bravery, military or national service. And the Order of Australia is the principal means of recognising outstanding service. And it's important to note that nominations come from all areas of the community. Anyone can nominate. Today is a special day, not only for the recipients, but also for your friends, your families and your communities. It's a day when we celebrate a diverse range of impressive achievements and service. My Government House colleagues and I are privileged to play a small part in the recognition and celebration of that service. We look forward to making this afternoon an occasion you'll recall with pride for a long time to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand for the arrival of Her Excellencies the Governor-General and Mrs Hurley, and then please remain standing and join in the singing of the first verse of the Australian National Anthem. The investiture will then begin and proceed in the order listed in your programs. After I read their names and citations, the recipients will enter from the doorway on my right, and after they've been invested by the Governor-General, they'll return via the central aisle to take up their seats at the back of the room, and it's at this point you might like to show your appreciation with a short applause. At the conclusion of the investiture ceremony, the Governor-General will say a few words, and then once formalities are complete, I'll invite the recipients to join with Her Excellencies out on the state entrance stairs for an official photograph. And at this point, we just invite remaining guests to remain briefly here in the drawing room until such time as Their Excellencies and recipients have left. After the photograph, the recipients and Their Excellencies look forward to joining with all guests out in the dining room or on the lakeside lawn where refreshments will be served. So ladies and gentlemen, please relax and enjoy this very special occasion. Would you please stand for the arrival of Her Excellencies the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia and Mrs Hurley, and for the singing of the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth of cloth, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
Good afternoon, and again I extend a warm welcome to all our recipients and families on what is a special day for, of course, our recipients, but indeed for our country. Could I also begin by acknowledging that we're on Ngunnawal land here at Yarralumla. I pay my respects to their elders past and present and thank them for looking after this beautiful part of our country for generation after generation, and be mindful today of the particular responsibility we have to the younger generation who are critical to the future of this country. As Paul has said, this is a very special day in which we acknowledge the contribution of our recipients to Australia, both at across a number of fields, internationally, nationally, and at the community level. It's important that we do so. As Linda and I travel around Australia quite frequently and meet Australians, sometimes in the worst of situations and other on the greatest activities in their communities, we see one constant, and that's there's an enormous richness of spirit, the term we use, amongst Australians. Good people at heart. And our honours and awards system is built to recognise that richness of spirit. I'm going to ask you to do some homework for me at the conclusion of the formal part of the ceremony, and I'll explain why. As Paul has mentioned, our honours and awards system was created in 1975 to replace the imperial award system. It has, I think, one important, perhaps unique characteristic, and that is it's a bottom-up system. So what do I mean by that? Ours is not a system where people, elites in Canberra or any capital city, look around the country and say, oh, Bill, Bob or Jenny is doing a great job. I'm going to recognise them and give them or award them a medal. Every person who comes through the door here or at any other government house at an investiture ceremony in the general division, that is the general public's division, has been nominated by a fellow Australian. And that's the strength of our system. So you're starting to get a glimmer of what your homework might be. I want you to watch today as you see the breadth of activities, contributions that our recipients are being acknowledged for. It tells you so much of what goes on in our country and where people work so hard. The recipients today, of course, are the centre of what we're doing, but can I say to family and friends and particularly partners that I'm deeply grateful for your contribution to each of the recipients for enabling them to do what they do. They cannot be here today without your support. So this day is as much about you as it is about them, and they should take you shopping to make up for it. A few knowing smiles there. But please, this is your day as well. We also, I think, should be mindful that the strength of what occurs in that back room there powers so much of what happens in our country. Again, as we travel and see, particularly during the bushfires and the floods and so forth, the community really at its best in its darkest hour. And our award system must acknowledge those people. At the conclusion of the ceremony, I'll say a few more words. I'll issue the homework I'm going to give you. But then we look forward, Linda and I, to meeting as many as you as we possibly can in the time together. This is a day of celebration. To the recipients, I know that 100% of you who come through that door will say, I don't deserve this. I just do it for the community need. I don't do it to be recognised. I don't particularly want to do it to receive a medal. Well, that humility is delightful, beautiful, actually. But please set it aside today. You're allowed to boast, not brag, but you should be boastful because your country is saying to you today, thank you for what you have done for all of us. Let's enjoy this very special day together. Let's celebrate in these great Australians. I'll now begin the formal ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, to be presented with the insignia of her appointment as an officer of the Order in the General Division, Miss Katrina Fanning, for distinguished service to the Indigenous community through education and health initiatives and to sport. Ms. Fanning is an exceptional community member who goes above and beyond to improve outcomes for others, especially for First Nations people. She is highly experienced and skilled in public administration and has served as chair of the ACT Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elected body since 2017. Under her leadership, the elected body is now a strong voice for Canberra's Indigenous people at both the local and the national level. She's brought about significant change in the way the ACT government works with local First Nations communities to deliver positive change in a range of areas, and her efforts have garnered her deep respect from both Indigenous and non-Indigenous leaders. She's also involved in local rugby league community and has served as director on the Canberra Raiders board since 2018. Ms Fanning is an inspirational figure and most worthy of our acknowledgement today. Ms Katrina Fanning, appointed an Officer of the Order. Appointed an Officer of the Order in the General Division, Mr Michael Fuller. For distinguished service to law enforcement as Commissioner of Police in New South Wales and to criminal intelligence governance. Mr Fuller is a person of character and dedication who has made a significant contribution to the spheres of regional and urban policing, youth support, child protection, and police community relations. He provided over 35 years of committed public service and displayed outstanding leadership in keeping the community safe from criminal threats and national security incidents. As Police Commissioner from 2017 to 2022, he introduced a range of groundbreaking initiatives, and his management of the force's response to the 2019-20 bushfires was key in providing vital support and assistance to those in need. Also, as the New South Wales State Emergency Controller, he ably led the coordination of a whole-of-government response to support the delivery of effective policing services during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr Fuller, through his efforts, has ensured that the New South Wales Police Force is held in high regard for its ability to serve and protect the community. Mr Michael Fuller, appointed an Officer of the Order. Appointed a Member of the Order in the General Division, Mr Philip Williams, for significant service to the broadcast media as a presenter and journalist. Mr Williams is one of Australia's most accomplished, respected and recognised foreign correspondents, and also one of the most experienced and skilled field reporters of his generation. He had a highly distinguished career with the Australian Broadcasting Commission for more than 40 years, including as Chief Foreign Correspondent. His capacity to think on his feet and capture a moment that conveys the reality on the ground has been outstanding. Similarly, his empathy with people in his stories and the ability to highlight the human experience during traumatic or dramatic events elevates the quality of journalism. He's been a valued mentor of young journalists, giving of his time and expertise to ensuring there is a future generation of storytellers. Mr Williams' dedication, humility and professionalism has earned him great respect from his peers and a deep appreciation from the Australian community. Mr Philip Williams, appointed a Member of the Order. appointed a member of the Order in the Military Division, Captain James LeVay, for exceptional service in the field of career management and leadership development of Navy people. Captain LeVay has consistently contributed to the capability of the Navy by focusing on the development of those around him. As the Electronics Technician Career Manager, he managed a technical upskilling transition plan for sailors from the Perth-class guided missile destroyers to new platforms and combat systems. He demonstrated a unique ability to find solutions to the most complex human resource challenges in order to meet Navy's strategic, operational and tactical needs. As Warrant Officer of the Navy, Captain LeVay's skills, abilities and support of the enlisted workforce enabled him to drive Navy towards accessing higher standards of education and development of its most valuable asset, its people. Captain James LeVay, appointed a member of the Order. Appointed a member of the Order in the Military Division, Wing Commander Mark Pentreath, for exceptional service to the Australian Defence Force in organisational reform and change management. Wing Commander Pentreath has served with distinction in a range of roles during a career of over 30 years. As Executive Warrant Officer of the Air Force in 2012, he developed and implemented an international enlisted engagement strategy and developed and hosted the inaugural Junior Enlisted Leadership Forum attended by Air Force corporals from across the Pacific region. He was influential as an active member of the Air Force Board, Chief of Air Force Advisory Committee, the Air Force Safety Board, the Air Force Honours and Awards Board, the Air Force Clothing Committee, and as Chief of Air Force's representative on the Jet Fuel Exposure Syndrome Committee. Wing Commander Pentreath, as the Commanding Officer of the Air Force Band, established a new rock band and bagpiper capability and introduced a coaching culture that has markedly enhanced band cohesion and performance. Wing Commander Mark Pentreath, appointed a member of the Order. Appointed a member of the Order in the Military Division, Air Commodore Diane Turton, for exceptional service to the Australian Defence Force in the field of intelligence. Air Commodore Turton deployed to Afghanistan as Defence's National Cryptographic Representative and Senior Signals Intelligence Advisor to Joint Task Force 633. Her excellence in coordinating signals intelligence from allied, partner and coalition systems supporting Australian forces was exemplary. She was vital to the development proposal and policy endorsement for the introduction and integration of new signals intelligence capabilities in Afghanistan. She also distinguished herself through intelligence support for Operations Okra and Augury. She created an acknowledged world-class target intelligence capability and drove the target systems analysis training and education programs. Air Commodore Turton has also superbly led the establishment of a Defence Artificial Intelligence Centre, and she epitomises the very best of our defence people. Air Commodore Diane Turton, appointed a member of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Mrs. Bronwyn Crosby, for service to community health. Mrs. Crosby has devoted herself to the disadvantaged in our community, particularly in the areas of Indigenous health, drug and alcohol addiction, and mental health. She's professionally treated people with drug and alcohol dependency for many years, including during her time as Deputy Director of the Alcohol and Drug Service of Sydney's St Vincent's Hospital. She's advocated for humane approaches to treatment and pioneered many initiatives in treating addiction and its complex manifestations in modern society. In 2014, she was appointed by the Minister for Mental Health as an official visitor and now coordinates the official visits in the Southern Local Health District. Mrs. Crosby is an inspiring, innovative and caring health professional who has done much for our community. Mrs. Bronwyn Crosby awarded the Medal of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Mrs. Sarah McGoram, for service to community health. Mrs. McGoram has spent a number of years advocating for improved treatment options and advancing research into rare cancers in Australia. She has directly improved research efforts and awareness, has raised funds, and has aided the introduction of government legislation. Her efforts have made a tremendously positive impact on patients, families, researchers, and the community, and have helped to make our health system better. She's championed the Rare Cancers Australia organisation and has worked with researchers at the Garvan Institute for Medical Research to advance the Australian Genomic Cancer Medicine program. Mrs. McGoram embodies the triumph of human nature over the most difficult of circumstances, and through sharing her story of survival, has promoted the cause of patients with rare cancers. Mrs. Sarah McGoram awarded the Medal of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Mrs. Narelle O'Rourke, for service to the preservation of nursing history. Mrs. O'Rourke has been an outstanding nurse practitioner in the Queanbeyan region for more than 40 years. She has also been a superb chronicler of the history of Queanbeyan Hospital and its personalities, with the main focus of her publications focusing on the medical and nursing history of the Snowy Monaro region. She's been selfless in assisting other nurses, authors and doctors with research by offering photographs and other materials. Professionally, she has participated in Indigenous outreach programs in the Northern Territory, mentored other health workers, and has written multiple books and articles on the best practices of peri-operative care. Mrs. O'Rourke's service is outstanding and inspires us all to give back to our community. Mrs. Narelle O'Rourke awarded the Medal of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the General Division, Mrs. Patricia Wood, for service to the community, particularly through the church. Mrs. Wood is the founder and coordinator of the Mission Stitch and Sewing Group at St Paul's Ginninderra Anglican Church. For over 21 years, she has been a key figure of the group, sourcing materials, patterns, sewing machines, and all of the necessary extras that are essential for the finished product. Through her efforts, the group produces about 10,000 items each year for organisations such as the Intensive Care Unit at the Canberra Hospital, Cranleigh Special School, orphanages in Borneo, and Mission Nepal. Additionally, the group provides a valuable source of fellowship and regular social connection for women in our community. Mrs. Wood is a quiet achiever whose volunteering efforts have given hope to others in need. Mrs. Patricia Wood, awarded the Medal of the Order. Awarded the Medal of the Order in the Military Division, Major Laurent Berlioz-Not, for meritorious performance of duty in the development of target systems, intelligence procedures, and training. Major Berlioz-Not has made a superior contribution to Australia's counterinsurgency and joint targeting missions through the development of intelligence analysis systems. He significantly improved intelligence support as the inaugural manager of the Insurgent Network Analysis Cell in support of deployed forces in Afghanistan. He coordinated whole-of-government intelligence efforts to attack and degrade key areas of the Taliban's supply and command chains and forge close working relationships with government and international partners. On transfer to the Army Reserve, he's ensured that a trained and skilled workforce is able to provide Chief of Joint Operations with effective targeting options. Major Berlioz-Not's efforts have contributed to the force protection and mission success of Australian, Allied and Coalition forces. Major Laurent Berlioz-Not, awarded the Medal of the Order. We move now to the Conspicuous Service Decorations. Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Lieutenant Colonel Sean Fleming, for outstanding achievement as a Staff Officer Grade 1 personnel and Staff Officer Grade 1 policy within Headquarters Australian Army Cadets over the period 2018 to 2021. Lieutenant Colonel Fleming transferred from the British Army to the Australian Army in 2005, and since that time has held a range of staff officer appointments across Army, including deployment to Iraq in 2005-2006 and Operation Catalyst. Of particular note, he's been instrumental in the development and execution of Defence Youth Policy and the Australian Army Cadet Transformation Program, incorporating Defence's obligations to the Royal Commission into institutional response to child sexual abuse. His efforts have raised the awareness of youth risk management within Army program and clarified youth protection responsibilities, ensuring that the necessary actions are taken to achieve safer outcomes for the youth in our Army. Lieutenant Colonel Fleming has brought a high level of intellect and pragmatism to shape the overall strategic outcomes required of Defence policy and senior stakeholders. Lieutenant Colonel Sean Fleming, awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross. awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Lieutenant Commander Tristan Coakley, for meritorious achievement as the 808 Squadron Aviation Engineering Officer. Lieutenant Commander Coakley has been instrumental in instituting a leadership-centric culture at 808 Squadron. He has produced notable results during a period defined by dynamic change, limited resource, and sustained airworthiness impacts. These efforts have served to minimise the impacts of poor aircraft serviceability, an overly complex maintenance system, and an industry partner was not able to address urgent defect or maintenance issues. His technical advice to Force Commander and engineering personnel were key to mitigating an elevated airworthiness risk and re-establishing technical confidence in the MRH-90 aircraft. Lieutenant Commander Coakley is a highly respected officer whose management of unit morale has underpinned its constructive culture and ensured a productive and cohesive workforce. Lieutenant Commander Tristan Coakley awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal. We move now to the Meritorious Service Awards. Awarded the Australian Police Medal, Detective Sergeant Craig Marriott, for outstanding service to the Australian Federal Police, particularly in the areas of criminal investigations, illegal gang activity, and negotiation operations. Detective Sergeant Marriott has provided diligent and dedicated service to the Australian Federal Police since 1999. Initially attached to the Woden Police Station, he transferred to the criminal investigation area of the ACT policing, remaining almost exclusively within that section. He's a long-term team leader for Task Force Nemesis, ACT policing's response to escalating outlaw motorcycle gang activity. He's been involved in the initiation of new legislation to combat the emerging threat posed by the rapid expansion of motorcycle gang activity in the ACT. He also served the Australian Federal Police with distinction in the External Territories portfolio, leading missions to Norfolk Island, where he was integral to enacting crucial reform to road safety on the island. Detective Sergeant Marriott epitomises the values of the Australian Federal Police, and we thank him for his service. Detective Sergeant Craig Marriott awarded the Australian Police Medal. Awarded the Australian Police Medal, Commander Andrea Quinn, for outstanding service to the Australian Federal Police in a range of roles and to the whole of government task force in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Commander Quinn has been a valuable member of the Australian Federal Police since joining the force in 1983. Since that time, she has served in a number of important roles, including managing the National Operations Monitoring Centre and the close personal protection and witness protection areas. She was appointed to the role of Coordinator, Serious and Organised Crime in 2010, before returning to Canberra as the Deputy Chief Police Officer. In 2020, she joined the Australian Federal Police's Special Protective Command, and it was during this period the Force's response to COVID-19 pandemic became a critical priority. She assumed responsibility for the national coordination of Operation Protect, where she was a pivotal member of the Commonwealth Whole of Government Task Force in response to the pandemic. Commander Quinn's service history and steadfast commitment are a testament to her dedication to protecting our community. Commander Andrea Quinn awarded the Australian Police Medal. Awarded the Australian Fire Service Medal, Mr. Gregory Abrahamfi, for distinguished service to the Australian Capital Territory Fire and Rescue Service. Mr. Abrahamfi joined the Australian Capital Territory Fire and Rescue in 2002 and has served in various frontline operational roles, including at the 2003 Canberra bushfires and bushfires in 2019-20. He's dedicated his time to furthering the safety of firefighters through the promotion of innovative approaches to fire appliance and fire station design. His work in these areas maximises sustainability and reduces the level of risk to the community. He's advised the Australian Capital Territory Emergency Services Commissioner directly in the planning of fire and ambulance station locations into the next 15 years. His efforts will be vital in meeting the needs of the Canberra region as our population grows. Mr. Abrahamfi has, throughout his career, made a significant contribution to firefighters and to the protection of the Canberra community. Mr. Gregory Abrahamfi awarded the Australian Fire Service Medal. Awarded the Australian Fire Service Medal, Mr. Matthew Mavety, for distinguished service to the Australian Capital Territory Fire and Rescue Service. Mr. Mavety has served most capably at every rank in the Australian Capital Territory Fire and Rescue Service, from firefighter on the front line of the 2003 Canberra fires to an incident controller during the 2019-20 bushfires. Dedication to technical excellence has informed his view of service, and his passion remains working with the community to understand how firefighters can help to support preparedness and resilience. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he led a small team that partnered with local industry to manufacture hand sanitizer and cleaning products for the ACT government and medical non-government organisations, ensuring availability of these critical products during supply chain disruptions. Mr. Mavety has demonstrated superior commitment to ensuring that the ACT Fire and Rescue provides world-class service to our community. Mr. Matthew Mavety awarded the Australian Fire Service Medal. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentations.
We've acknowledged each of our recipients individually. I think it'd be appropriate now to acknowledge them as a group. Congratulations to them. Now to consideration of our homework. You've seen in the general division the breadth of activities for which people in the community are acknowledged. You know who those similar people to that are in your community, in our community. I need you to go back and nominate. I cannot mark your homework if I don't receive the nomination. Now, a couple of things to bear in mind as you're considering and looking around the community. Three aspects of the order that we're working on at the present time. One, we are getting close to 50-50 representation in male and female in recognition. We've done a lot of hard work over the last 3 or 4 years and are very close to that point. We put in systems to do that, but we still need you to be looking around and looking at women, particularly who are performing, as you've seen today, and should be recognised. In so many places that Linda and I visit, someone will come up to me and whisper in my ear that Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so should be recognised for their work. And I say, they should be. Do something about it. Nominate. Secondly, our lists as yet do not reflect effectively the multicultural nature of Australia's society. And again, we're working hard with many organisations and media across the country to address that. But every list should reflect who we are as Australia today. And thirdly, in the Indigenous community, we still don't have appropriate recognition of work that is being done in that community. And again, we're working with organisations to try to improve that. But if you can assist through nominations, that would be very useful, I think, for Australia to be able to reflect on what's happening in our country. So bear those three things in mind, but nominations, which Paul will explain to you how you can make, are very important to the system. Again, can I thank our recipients for what they've done in their contributions to help this country grow, to reflect the goodness, the wealth of well-being and just an attitude of getting things done for other people that's out there. I do congratulate you for it. Again, to families and friends and particular partners, thank you for your role in allowing the recipients to be acknowledged today. And finally, it is a time of celebration today. So let's enjoy each other's company and reflect on some of the real strengths that our country has within it and where that can take us to into the future. Congratulations and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to assist with the homework that the Governor-General has said, I do encourage you to access the online nomination form, which is available on the Governor-General's website at www.gg.gov.au. As the Governor-General has said, it's a relatively straightforward process, and we look forward to welcoming those that have been successful through that process back here to Government House for an investiture such as this in the near future. I now invite the recipients to join their Excellencies on the state entrance stairs for an official photo. Would you please stand for the departure of Her Excellencies, the Governor-General and Mrs. Hurley.